Morning, morning, morning. There we are. Morning, all. Morning, morning. Morning, Roxanne. Thank you for my double dose of brooms this morning. I need to find that song, you know. I need to find that song. I have it here. I think Nicole Caesar had sent it to me. The time soon come for us to play that. Soon, soon come. So, let me get this here. Where is it? So, let me get this here. We will find it, don't worry. We will find it. Nicole Caesar morning. Send me my song again, please. Sweeping time. Anyway, Oriagani morning. Aline Lewis morning. Aline Ruckman Gangadine morning. Cyril Mayas morning, sir. Natalie F. morning to you. Lisa Water morning. Linda Supreme. Rude Trude morning. Okay, I have no idea who that is. Annette Baird, morning. Maureen Washington, morning. Carol Boyce John, Kenneth Gabriel, morning to you. Jaden Post 66, Glenn Richardson, morning, sir. Punks Up Carnival, or Central, sorry, morning. Leon Joseph, morning, sir. John Keto, Phyllis Farrell, morning. Roxanne says, with all this rain, Roxanne is raining where you are. I know we're supposed to be under adverse weather alert, yeah, but not on my side. It's overcast, but no rain yet. I think it's supposed to be until later on this evening. Yeah. Terence Swan, morning. Annette Neptune, Merle Durant, morning. Morning to all of you. Priscilla Holder, Earl Turpin, Patricia Comina, morning to you. Shah, morning. Leon Joseph says we understand the assignment. I like that. I like that, Leon. We need to start that hashtag. It's blowing up threads right now in the US. Tell me, go on threads, that's all you're seeing. Person stating their demographic, where they're from, male, female, um, age bracket, family situation, and they understand the assignment. Diane Charles, morning Diane. Carol Myers, morning Carol. Carol, reading by you too. Lucky you. Send some across on this side. Let's see. Yeah, just now. I don't know. Fingers crossed. I could do it staying home today too. Judy Bowen, morning to you, Judy. Phyllis Antoine, morning. Alana Rose, morning. Arthur James, morning to you, sir. Joy Rabunana, morning. Jennifer Dorset, morning to you. Kurt Shaw, grand uprising to you too as well. Gemma Alexander, morning. Annette Baird. You see Jenny Joseph, morning. Alison Boyce. John Edwards, Christopher Coffey. Ashton Clark, morning. Rosemary Hadley, morning. Rosemary. Gillian A.S. Pascal, morning to you. Good morning to His Excellency, President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, First Lady Mauricia Keegan, Ruth Franton, morning. Fitzroy Julian, morning to you. Judy says it's raining in Granby this morning. Angela Carty, morning. Listra de Matas, Leon Graves, Ashlyn Robertson, Dandy Sandiford, morning to all of you guys. Leon says they haven't rain up in Toko too, so like it's only in W Mera we have no rain. No good no. Alicia Alman de Roche, morning to you. Patricia Comena says, I understand the assignment. Oh, and she'll be voting in November. Great. Well, we know who you're voting for, Patricia. And it says Real Reen and Gasparillo. Frances McMillan, morning. Tracy Graves, morning to you. Nadia Lewis Dixon, morning. And hopefully the rain will come across on my side soon enough. So, Right. What's the time? There's 6:40. So I was just looking for the sweeping time song here. It was sent to me some time ago. I think it was by Nicole Caesar. And I saw something she had sent me. The Alabama brawl, white people's business has been shut down. So I think that reminded me. The video that had surfaced sometime, I think it was last year, where there was this boat ride and there was an altercation between some white people and some black people, and a fight took place. And it started out with the white people overpowering the black people. I think this is what it was. And then some black folks who were on the boat jumped off. We saw people jump off into the water and so on, and they just went out and like started to share. And before you know, the tables were turned. And it kind of reminds me of, well, to draw a parallel to what is happening now in the US, where we see the Republicans still trying to find their footing in terms of how they're going to go after Kamala Harris, have decided to do it so far on the basis of gender and race, right? Referring to her as a DEI. So she's a diversity, equity, and I don't even know what the other thing is, what the I is for. Pick, right? So they say the only reason why Joe Biden picked her as his running mate is because she is female and she is of African descent, and he was trying to appeal to the African American community. But it has nothing to do with her skills, it has nothing to do with her qualifications, and so on. And that is not sitting well with the black folk in the US. So we saw a couple nights ago, since Joe Biden would have announced that he was passing the torch, as he said last night. There were two noteworthy Zoom calls. The first one, I saw 44,000 black women come together on a Zoom call. I think it was probably the largest Zoom call that they've had before, because it was reported that the chief operating officer of Zoom, who I think is based somewhere in Singapore or somewhere in Asia, was asked to expand the capacity of Zoom calls to be able to facilitate that. And the article said that the COO of Zoom, had been working long hours with the engineers to facilitate it. And in the space of about 2 hours, those 44,000 black women were able to raise over $1.5 million in contributions or donations to Kamala Harris's campaign. And then the men were not to be outdone, and they too held a call, which I think had just 20-something thousand black men on that call. They too were able to raise a significant sum of money, but they also made pledges that they were going to support and protect, as a key word, protect Kamala Harris from the Republicans. So if the Republicans intend to go down that race road, they're going to have some problems, and big problems at that. Thank you, Michael. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yes. In fact, I heard one of those US congressmen yesterday. They have been so, like, they didn't get a talking point. So they keep hearing it, DEI, DEI, DEI. But like this guy, he didn't know, so he said diversity, equity, and some other word starting with an E. And it certainly wasn't inclusion. So they're falling in line, but they don't even know what the talking point is supposed to be. They're just saying that because. And if that's the road that they plan to go down, it's going to cause big problems for them, because if they go down the race road, it's going to stir up African Americans, even the lackadaisical ones who are planning not to vote. They will come out and vote. If they go down the road of gender, that's going to cause problems too, because then women are going to come out in support of Kamala Harris. And we see that is happening, especially since this video of the Donald Trump's vice president, VP pick, J.D. Vance, an interview that he did some time ago with Tucker Carlson on Fox, where he referenced Kamala Harris as being a childless cat lady by virtue of the fact that she has no biological children, but she does have 2 stepchildren. So he is making a case that because she has no children of her own, that she's unfit to be president of the United States. What utter rubbish. Absolute garbage. But again, it's because they have nothing to go on. So that is what they're going with, and it has already angered a lot of people. So when you go on Threads, those of you who are on Threads, if you read, I read some of it for you guys the other day, but this has been constant. I mean, 65-year-old white woman, mother of 12 kids, and Nana to 10 Rambo, I understand the assignment. I'm a 55-year-old straight white male southerner, and I damn well understand the assignment. I have 3 children, 2 dogs, and very allergic to cats. However, I understand the assignment. I'm a 57-year-old white woman, and I understand the assignment. Who's with me? And it goes on like that. Myself and my father are in Red, Florida, and we understand the assignment. I'm a 56-year-old married but childless cat lady from New York, and I understand the assignment. I'm a 67-year-old woman in a red state. I understand the assignment. 73-year-old widow artist, mom, and grandma. Found my first job in the female wanted column. I totally understand the assignment. I'm a single childless woman in the red state of Tennessee. I understand the assignment. And it keeps going on like that, and on like that. So they have stirred up something in people who were just quiet and were just going along. So Trump is not pleased. And last night he said, he's not going to play nice with Kamala Harris. But it's going to be an interesting 3 months. But I hope that we can replicate that here in Trinidad come next year when we are heading into our own election campaign. And we can adopt that. I understand the assignment. But, it's left to be seen. But I know I have full faith in the People's National Movement and its supporters. Because right now I could tell you the UNC supporters, they kind of a meltdown to it. But anyway. So all right, we'll respond to you shortly. Anyway, so as we're on that vein, with respect to, the politics in the US. So an article come out where, let me get it here, right. Trinidad Newsday. Political scientist Dr. Bishnu Raghunath asked whether US Vice President Kamala Harris has sufficient political traction to now be seemingly assuming herself to be Democratic Party nominee in the US presidential election next year. He spoke to Newsday on July 22nd, the day after US President Joe Biden's sudden withdrawal of his candidacy for re-election. Now, I raise this because this is he's supposed to be one of the premier political analysts in Trinidad, right? Anytime news media want a comment with respect to the politics, they run to people like him. Political scientist Dr. Bishnu Raghunath, right? Just now. Right. Asked whether US Vice President Kamala Harris has sufficient political traction to now be seemingly assuming herself to be the Democratic Party nominee. Many feared their own prospects for re-election could be pulled down by Joe Biden after his poor performance in the live television debate against Republican nominee Donald Trump. Raghunath first mulled at the idea that Biden may well have been forced out by party colleagues, even after his initial defiance to calls to go uttered by congressional leaders Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. He wondered whether the party had engineered a White House coup against Biden, threatening to impeach him and blah, blah, blah. Raghunath reasoned, why did he take half hour after his withdrawal to announce support of Kamala, if it was voluntary? Why didn't he announce it immediately? Somebody needs to tell, first of all, Raghunath. And I always say these guys need to do their research before they speak, because the Joe Biden's decision was announced via a statement, a written statement that was first published on X, formerly Twitter. And in that initial statement, he did endorse Kamala Harris. So I don't understand why he had this thing that Biden waited half an hour. What half an hour did he wait? The announcement was not made via video. It wasn't something that Biden did live. He sent out a statement, and in that statement, he endorsed Kamala Harris. So anyway, as a political scientist, sorry, I apologize. I called him a political analyst, but he's a scientist. There will always be conspiracy theories. He then asked if Harris had political traction. Let us be real about this. Kamala was never nominated per se. She never went to the Democratic Party primaries to be nominated as a presidential candidate, so she was never in the picture. So who was in the picture? Who was in the picture? The ticket is Biden-Harris. Biden-Harris. So for this clown to say she was never in the picture. Anyway, in the 2024 primaries, Biden won 87% of votes, beating Dean Phillips, Marianne Wilson, Jason Palmer until himself withdrew. Raghunath said, yes, people saw her as Biden's vice president and she would continue, but did they really see her as ascending to the nominee's position? Well, obviously, that was expected to be the transition in 2028, when Biden's second term would have come to an end. But anyway, he said many other people had gone through the 2024 primaries where Biden won with 14 million votes. Raghunath said the usual process is to complete the primary process and the winner, right? Last week, it was only after Trump was nominated that he identified Vance would be his running mate. So there was no notion before that Kamala would be a shoo-in for the presidential nominee. That is one of the concerns the Democratic Party will have to deal with. He said many other individuals may wish to submit their names as Democratic Party presidential candidates, noting Kamala had never gone through the full process. He keeps repeating that. That I think is a real concern the party will have to deal with. And at this stage, nomination would be decided by super delegates, not the usual delegates. He said, him not knowing their conversations over Harris. Biden had 14 million delegates. No, he did not have 14 million delegates. He had 3,896. Now he has withdrawn. Does that free up his delegate votes? Newsday asked if it was Harris's strategy for a rapid piling up of endorsements from party figures to try to sway the superdelegates in her favor. Raghunath replied, I can't answer that, but a lot of people who are endorsing Kamala, are they hoping to be considered her running mate? Is that one of the reasons why there is this push to support her? I think the DNC is now in a bit of a fix in how they are actually going to treat with the whole process. And they need some time to clear their heads as to exactly how they are going to treat with this. I read this to draw attention to the fact, right? And he continues along that same vein. What I expect will happen before the end of this week is the DNC will now have to determine whether they want to go back to the into a round of primaries, or whether they go with Kamala as the primary candidate and go to the convention and hope the superdelegate support her. She has already, in less than 48 hours, would have been able to get the sufficient delegate pledges so that she is seen as the only option, right? More persons have come out to endorse her, high-profile politicians in the US, including Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, right? I think the only person who, the only holdout left, I think, is former President Barack Obama and somebody else who said because of the high profile that they hold in the party, they don't want to come out now and endorse and then, to seem as if they're trying to gerrymander the process. So he will wait until, But anyway, I raised that to show that in a few months' time, we're going to be reading a lot of interviews that will be done with Mr. Raghunath as we head into our own election cycle, right? And he's a political scientist, and all the garbage that he just talked there has been shown to be wrong in the space of 48 hours and less. All the things that he just talked there has shown to be incorrect. And as a political scientist, I don't know what kind of scientist he is, because when we talk in science happens to be something that is definite. So you could apply certain theories and whatnot and come to certain outcomes. But I don't know what kind of scientist he is. But we're going to be reading a lot of nonsense and garbage, just like what he told them there, in the coming months. And we're going to be seeing people who want to look to that and refer to that and say, these guys have no credibility as far as I'm concerned. Because I'm reading this and the tone of his answers tells me it seems like he's upset. He's upset with this outcome. Why would he be upset? Well, I don't want to assume his political leaning, but let's face it, there are a lot of people in Trinidad and Tobago who were hoping and are still hoping for a Trump win. Because, and in particular, what a Trump win would mean for the government of Trinidad and Tobago, right? In particular, as it pertains to the energy sector. We know that the good news that we've been hearing with respect to the energy sector over the last couple of months is rooted in this administration's relationship with Kamala Harris, this administration's relationship with Joe Biden, his administration. All of the breakthroughs that we've been able to make, the special OFAC license that is separate and apart from the OFAC license 44, the fact that we were immune from that, all of these things. And so we got another piece of good news yesterday with respect to the energy sector, which I will touch on shortly. But needless to say, these people call themselves patriots, and they're always talking about the state of this country. I just reading a comment here on the debunking page. It's some clown who clearly supports the UNC saying, if anybody, you just have to look at the state of Trinidad and Tobago at this time and where the country heading, and you will know who to vote for. You see, they just like the Republicans, they keep talking this gloom and doom and say, I mean, I'm so fed up with them, man. So fed up with these people. They will never speak about the good things that are happening in the country. They're complaining about foreign exchange. We ain't getting foreign exchange. But here it is that opportunities, the main sector from which we get foreign exchange, is headed down a road of prosperity, right? Unlike we have ever seen, or unlike what we've seen in a very, very long time in this country. They ain't gonna talk about that. They wouldn't talk about that. But anyway. So I'm just saying, prepare yourself for the people like Vishnu Raghunath and Hamid Ghani. He's the next one I'm supposed to deal with for the longest while. But I will touch on him probably on Sunday morning. They have their agenda. They ain't fooling nobody. They certainly ain't fooling me. But beware of them. Right? The media are going to be running to them and for comment on a lot of things. And clearly, from this article, it shows he don't know. Anyway. Right, one aspect of his anatomy from the other. So let me leave that day. So 3 months ago, almost to the day, David Lee, opposition chief whip, and man on $1 million bail for fraud, conspiracy, misbehavior in public office, put out a press release expressing concerns over certain negotiations that were taking place between BP and Venezuela. The 23rd of May, Mr. Lee posted on his Facebook page, and it was subsequently sent out to the mainstream media. BP's paused talks with Venezuela shows Young's promises of a stable energy sector was nothing but public relations and photo ops. Yet again, another one of Minister Young's promises of future gas to Trinidad and Tobago is on a red light. BP's decision to pause talks with Venezuela on the development of the Maniquin Coquina field as a result of the reinstatement of US sanctions made 2 months ago, or made 2 months after discussions began, is evidence that a number of this government's gas prospects and the entire outlook of the energy sector is based on hopes and dreams. The opposition was surprised that BP would have started talks with the reimposition of USA sanctions looming. Were they pushed into a meeting with Venezuela? On March 15th, Minister Young boasted about this project in Parliament, stating that he was hailed by global ministers for this development, as this was, as he stated, top of the news in the global energy reports. This government's persistent approach to pursue the vulnerable, unstable path of trying to tap into Venezuelan reserves for gas while neglecting the monetization of gas within our own borders. It is beyond reason and rational that this government would rather carry the oil and gas companies to a foreign province to access their gas, as Minister Young did with this project, as opposed to placing all his efforts here, all. Not some here and some there. Place all your efforts in Trinidad, right? And forget about Venezuela. Abandon Venezuela. That's what David Lee saying. Yes. As opposed to placing all of his efforts here to monetize our gas for maximum benefit for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, we are a mature province, but there is oil and gas. It just requires innovation, incentivization, political will, and work. So says David Lee. So, two things in this statement that are instructive to me. One, that I just stressed on, his view and his party's view that this government should place all of their efforts here in Trinidad to find new oil and new gas. Never mind the fact that for years we've been trying to get Loran Manatee, Dragon, all these others from the Manning administration, the People's Partnership Administration between 2010 to 2015 did precious little to nothing at all to advance that. This administration came in and has been working hard almost from day one to achieve what has now been achieved, right? But this is David Lee. So he is saying abandon Venezuela, basically. And we know why. They have no relationship with the current administration in Venezuela. And that is not going to change so long as Mr. Maduro remains in power. But where he also says the opposition was surprised that BP would have started talks with the reimposition of USA sanctions looming. But of course you all would be surprised because you're fully dunce. You're vacuous, clueless. They would not take the time to do the research. And when it is, Stuart Young kept telling them, the license that we got is separate and apart from the OFAC license 44. So even though OFAC license 44 is due to expire in April gone, because the Treasury Department in the US is of the view that Mr. Maduro and his administration would have reneged on certain commitments that they made that will apply to us. Apparently that went through one ear and come out through the next. They didn't hear that. They didn't hear that part, because if they had heard that, David Lee wouldn't have posted that rubbish. Well, the concerns that he had on the 23rd of May were put to rest yesterday, in fact. So let me see if I get it here. Right. Venezuela signs gas production deal with BP for Coquina Field. Venezuela has signed a 20-year natural gas production and exploration deal with BP, TT, and the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago. A statement from Oil Minister Pedro Telechia said the agreement allows for the production from the Manikin Coquina Field, one of three natural gas fields that straddle the eastern border between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. Telechia in a statement said the agreement allows for production from the Manikin Coquina gas field. The ministry said 25% of the production will go to Trinidad and Tobago's petrochemical sector, while the rest will feed Trinidad and Tobago's LNG industry. On May 29, Minister of Energy Stuart Young announced that the US OFAC granted a special license to Trinidad and Tobago for the production of the field with authorities in Venezuela, and the license lasts until May 2026. At the time, Young said it was early days still and too early to predict a timeline for the first gas from the field, but he said that the license was good news for TNT as it continued progress for future gas production. Manikin Coquina is a little more than 100 kilometers to the southeast of Guyana Point. Next to the Manikin Coquina field is the more popular and considerably larger Loran Manatee field, and next to the Loran Manatee is the Cape Dorado field. The Manikin Coquina field is estimated to have 1 trillion cubic feet of gas. In an Energy Now article, the official online news source for the Energy Chamber, the Chamber explained that there were large gas resources in the platform Deltana region of Venezuela. Delivering natural gas by pipeline from those fields to TNT for processing through TNT's world-class LNG and petrochemical industry offers a major opportunity for Trinidad and Tobago, the article says. But David Lee says that Stuart Young should abandon that and focus on finding oil and gas in Trinidad and Tobago. While TNT's government has not yet said what plans are for the field, sources told Newsday that existing infrastructure could be beneficial to fast-tracking progress. The field is less than 30 kilometers from BPTT's Juniper platform, which aggregate gas from the Juniper field. This has a tieback to another platform, which has a pipeline directly to the production plants. So we got a 30-year license for Dragon. We now have a 20-year license for Coquina Mannequin. And then Shell would have recently announced that they made a final investment decision with respect to Manatee, right? So that's 3 significant developments that is significantly going to increase Trinidad and Tobago's natural gas production for the next 20 to 30 years. Some of us listening here may not be around in 20 to 30 years. We know our current Prime Minister will not be around in 30 years, unless he lives extremely long, in which case he'll be 105. And the most of the persons who are in Parliament today will not be around in 30 years. But this administration has accomplished something that other administrations were not able to do. They have secured Trinidad and Tobago's energy future for at least 30 years. 30 years. Now, David Lee, I went on his Facebook page. This article not posted there, right? He was the one who expressed concerns, first off, by putting out this press release, and then he went to the Parliament to put question to Stuart Young on the issue. So concerned was he, and so concerned were the members of his party, right? Because Trinidad and Tobago's oil and gas future is based on hopes and dreams of Stuart Young. That's what he said. But they said, yeah, you were so concerned. But the answer to your concern came last night. Now, when you say you're surprised, he was surprised that BP had started talks and negotiations with Venezuela. Well, I guess if he didn't know, hasn't read this article yet, he's going to be very surprised when he wakes up this morning or when he sees it today. You think he's going to post it on his Facebook page? Probably not. You think he's going to call a press conference to discuss it and say, I'm pleased to have read this. I am so happy that my concerns, my fears have been allayed. And I apologize to Stuart Young for accusing him of what I accused him of. I apologize to Stuart Young and the People's National Movement government for sowing seeds of doubt with respect to their efforts in improving this country's stocks with respect to the energy sector. You think you want to say that? Say, wait, that ain't going to happen. There will be no mention whatsoever. Let's see if Kevin Ramnarine said anything. Let me just check him here. Let me pull him up here. Right? Because he's another one. They love to run to them. Is Mariano Brown on tomorrow on I-95.5? I wonder what he has to say. So we have development number 3. And then we still have Lauren, right? And of course, if the Democrats win in November, well, hey, the sky is the limit. Not good news for that other party. Let me just pull up Kevin page here and see if he said anything. Right. So, Kevin. Nope, not seeing anything there. Not surprised. Not surprised in the least. Can't check Giant page because, as I said, I'm blocked. So anyhow, I can check it for man. The last thing Kevin posted was Ramsaran Dairy Products files lawsuit over forex scarcity. Okay, so I guess they're taking the Ministry of Finance to court because they ain't getting US to bring in their the packaging for the juice and their other stuff, right? Not surprised that it's not there. Remember, one sec. Let me just check Kamala Harris's Facebook page. Let me check Munilal. Nope. The last thing Munilal posted, MP raises questions about the quality of police bulletproof vests. Nothing about the Coquina Mannequin field. Where is it? Let me see here. Kamala Harris. Nothing there either. Only posting about their pre-budget consultation, which I will not promote. See, well, right. Okay. They're having one tonight. All right. So she's not interested either. Let me check Suraj Rambachan Facebook page. No. Last thing Rambachan posted 11 hours ago was a picture with him and Kamala, captioned "Down Memory Lane" from the 24th of July 2016. And then I saw recently he changed his he changed his profile photo to him in his UNC shirt, and people asking questions if is he coming back. Yes, I told you all, when these guys say they left politics and they're not going to seek re-election, and they feel they're fooling people, as if the wider Trinidad and Tobago public doesn't know that the House of Representatives isn't the only way to get back into government or get back into the parliament. You have the Senate, right? And if you all win, if they win, 16 senators, so Kamala could bring back all of them. So all of them staying on the sidelines, and from time to time, hey, leader, how you going? I just checking on you. You ran across my mind and think, you're always on my mind. I just want to make sure everything is good with you. You need anything? I have some mangoes in the backyard. You like Julie mango? Yeah, you want some? I could pass and drop off some for you. Yeah, I could squeeze in a bottle of Grey Goose if you want to. I can make a Julie mango puree. I could put a little white cocoa. You just say punch in, no problem. I could link that for you. Make sure if they win, she have a list. She have a list of persons to consider, right? Mm-hmm. Bunch of jokers. They're not serious, but we understand the assignment, right? We appreciate these things because we know that these 3 gas development, these 3 gas contracts, these 3 developments with respect to natural gas is going to see an increase not just in our natural gas production, it's also going to result in a revival of our energy sector, but more importantly, foreign exchange, right? Foreign exchange. So we know that on the not too distant horizon, this challenge that we have now with respect to foreign exchange is going to be significantly improved once this gas starts flowing. UNC don't want that, at least not now anyway. But if we make the mistake and we miss the assignment or we misunderstand the assignment next year and they get an opportunity to come back in, understand that while the projection is that all of these gas deals that this administration has been working on for the last 9 years and that is now coming into fruition, that the gas will only start to flow after 2025. And can we risk putting the revenues from all of this newfound gas in the hands of a party and a government that showed us between 2010 to 2015 that they are very reckless? Kamala Prasad Bisesa is on record as having said on more than one occasion, her administration had the highest energy revenues in this country's history. Highest energy revenues in this country's history. And we are heading down a path of something similar post-2025. And we see what they do when they have the highest energy revenues in this country's history. But we are not fooled. Why their supporters will continue to tell you, well, she was the best prime minister and that was the best government. That's all. That reminds me of something. Just let me get this. I really want to move on and touch on something else because I'm looking at the time too, right? Let me just get this here quickly. Meanwhile, as I'm looking for that, I saw that the NTA, HOPE, and the COP have agreed to an alliance going into the next general election. So that is Gary, Karen Nunes Teixeira, Louis Lee Singh, Timothy Hamel-Smith. Who the hell is, where the COP is? Who is Senate? Still the COP? Okay. Yeah, they've agreed to form an alliance. We'll see where that goes. Right. This is what I wanted to play.
Not securing the borders until you put a maritime security apparatus.
That's not what I wanted to play. There's another one. Yes, I think this was it, buddy. I think that might have been it. Just come on 1 sec, folks. Yeah, because this came after. The chant or the rant of a madman. Let me see. Is this it? What was this? Okay, no. I think that was it just now. Just give me 1 second. That's not it. All right. I'll find it and I'll play it for you another time. Because I wanted to analyze that piece of nonsense because he's another one saying that the Kamala Harris administration was the best administration this country has ever seen, better than Eric Williams, better than Chambers, better than Pandey. Yes, and this madman. But I know he vexed because they didn't include him in this latest alliance. Pep name ain't call, so he vexed. Right. All right, so let me get to this thing that I wanted to do. But I just needed to mention that piece of good news. I suppose a statement will come out from Stuart Young sometime later on today, and maybe the Prime Minister will speak to it as well. But for reinforcement, Dragon Gas deal, 30-year license, right? Mannequin Coquina, 20-year license, and Shell signing or taking the final investment decision with respect to Manatee. So we just need to sort out Loran now, and then there are other fields. What is Kevin Ramnaray's track record? What's Kamala Harris's track record? So when they complaining about how Dr. Rowley wasting taxpayers' money, and he flying all over the place, and he going here, there, and everywhere, and there's no benefit from it. Really? Okay. Right. Let's see. So the biggest challenge, as we know, this administration is facing is the issue of crime. And if we listen to certain people, you will get the distinct impression that it's only in Trinidad and Tobago we have a crime problem, and that that doesn't exist anywhere else in the Caribbean. You know, they love to see everything is Trinidad and the rest of the Caribbean, nothing, right? All right. Let me just read this here quickly. St. Kitts Nevis Times. This is 15 hours ago. Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew, to address the nation on the crime surge, calls for his resignation and sacking of national security advisors, the police chief, plus comprehensive crime fighting plans this evening. The Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, will deliver a highly anticipated address to the nation this evening, Wednesday, July 24, 2024 at 8 p.m. The address will be broadcast live on CIC Radio and Television. In his address, Prime Minister Drew is expected to confront the alarming rise in crime that has gripped the nation since January of 2023, with a staggering 51 murders which have been recorded over the period, with 31 occurring in 2023 and 20 so far in 2024. This includes a particularly troubling recent spate of violence, with 3 murders in the past 4 days alone, including the brutal slaying of a well-known businesswoman and mother at her New Road home. The surge in violent crime has led to widespread public outcry and demands for accountability. There are increasing calls for the sacking of immediate resignation of national security advisors, the chief of police, Prime Minister himself, in his capacity as national security minister. Critics argue that their failure to effectively manage the crime wave has put the nation in jeopardy. In response to these demands, it is anticipated that the Prime Minister will outline a comprehensive set of initiatives and policies aimed at tackling the crime situation. The public hopes that detailed plans covering immediate short-term, medium-term, and long-term strategies to restore safety and security across the Federation. As in St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm sure for persons who wouldn't have heard me at the start would probably think, well, Trinidad, no. We're going again. Prime Minister Motley wants Barbados to unite in fight against crime. Amid an upsurge in criminal violence on the island, Barbados Prime Minister Mia Motley is urging citizens to pause for 5 minutes on Saturday in a symbolic gesture of national unity and peacemaking. I now ask every Barbadian, each of us, to pause for 5 minutes this Saturday at midday for silent reflection wherever we are, whatever we are doing, other than, of course, the essential services. She told Barbadians that they should step up in a united effort, whether they see, touch, engage, or participate in restoring peace to the island. Barbados has so far recorded an increase in murders, with the authorities saying that the estimated 30 killings are more than double the total last year, and Motley warned that law enforcement authorities will deal sternly with a handful of individuals who seek to cause panic in the country. She told Bajans that even in the midst of annual crop over activities, they should reflect on the need for a peaceful Barbados. I know it is crop over and I know it is Kiddies Kadume, but it is important that we pause and reflect for 5 minutes, even in Kiddies Kadume at midday, to send a signal that the majority of us want to build the common peace. We want a peaceful Barbados, and that we are committed to stepping up and putting in the hard work. While Prime Minister Motley did not announce any new policy initiatives to stem the tide of violence or address its root cause, she nonetheless highlighted gang activity, drug abuse, and the impact of social media and violent video games on youth. Note she didn't say, she probably forgot to mention, and migration of Trinidad and Tobago, gang leaders or gangsters from Trinidad and Tobago to Barbados. Because remember, that's what they're telling us in Tobago, right? That the crime surge in Tobago is because gang members from Trinidad going to Tobago and committing crime. Has nothing to do with homegrown. Has nothing to do with the fact that promises were made by the current administration to young people in 2021 when they were running for the election that they would provide them with jobs. The young people who they would have met on the byways and the highways who told them, I want a morning walk. Several of them said that, I want a morning walk. And they promised them morning walk. And then they came into office and have not delivered. Even people who had jobs prior to them coming in, struggling, some of them, to get their salaries on time. Right? But that hasn't contributed to the crime. The fact that the current administration has an ongoing audit for the last 2.5 years. We don't know how much money it costs, but they're complaining they ain't getting enough money, and central government ain't getting them enough money. They don't have money to pay workers under Ian Pollard's division, but you have money to spend on an audit. Probably that is going to get the Guinness Book of Records record for the longest audit ever conducted in Trinidad and Tobago. Right? 2.5 years now. All the wrongdoing you say happened under Tricky Tracy and Sil and the like. And 2.5 years now, we can't, not one thing you could come out and say, hey, look, we find this. Right? Nothing. But you're auditing. And as a result of that audit, you're saying, well, we're not paying contractors until we complete the audit and we confirm. So Tobago contractors not getting work, right? Those who are owed are not being paid because you have your ongoing audit. And then you're bringing contractors from Trinidad, roofing contractors, people who never pave a road. They haven't even paved, how should I put it, boy? They didn't pave a driveway. Never paved even a driveway in Trinidad. But they move from roofing to paving and getting big contracts. $1 million contracts to pave a road in Tobago. And meanwhile, the Tobago contractors who have Tobago residents working with them and getting work, right? Because they are deemed to be PNM. So all the young boys who were working with them, who owed monies for projects that were done when under the last PNM administration, they didn't get paid. And now you're bringing in Trinidadian contractors who bring in their own workers from Trinidad as well. Might hire 1 or 2 Tobagonians, but we understand they understand their assignment, right? That not contributing. But I continue. She called for renewed focus on moral and religious education. Oh God, me, I don't say that now. Telling Barbadians we must immediately address the absence of religious and moral grounding of our children. Me, if you was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago and you say that, they scalp you. Look at licks the Commissioner of Police in Trinidad and Tobago getting because you say we need to pray. She told citizens that they should not turn a blind eye to crime in their communities, adding, by closing our eyes and remaining silent, we are indirectly authorizing its indiscriminate and unlawful use. She also called on various sectors of society to play their part in combating violence, including summer camp leaders, religious institutions, and community leaders. And she stressed the importance of teaching children the basics difference between right and wrong and the need to respect human life. Well, you feel Dr. Rowley could say that? You're mad? But my friends, we must now come together again to confront the tendency towards violence in this country, a violence driven by anger very often and the inability or unwillingness to resolve conflicts peacefully. She also suggested that radio and television stations play appropriate music for reflection during the... She also expressed particular concern about the prevalence of guns and drug abuse. If the bulging pocket in your son or your grandson or granddaughter's or your best friend's pocket looks like a gun, is shaped like a gun, it bulges like a gun, my friends, it is almost certainly a gun. On the issue of drugs, she told the nation we have to confront the issue of the illegal carrying and use of guns in our country and the escalating use and abuse of drugs and alcohol. I wonder if the scanners working on the Barbados port, probably not working there either. I wonder if the folks at the Barbados port who work at the Barbados port have the problem of forklift drivers, forklift operators, always running into the scanners and damaging them. I wonder if Barbados borders porous. I wonder, boy. Probably not. Probably not. So apparently, the guns coming into the country are drone. Because the border's not porous. The scanners properly well working. So it can't be that. So the guns can't be coming in through legal ports of entry. Can't be coming in through illegal ports of entry. So I don't know how it's coming in the country. I'm confused. Anyway, we're going again. So, let me get this here. Where is it?
We are prepared to bring amendments or a new bill depending on what the AG's drafters recommend to him. In the near future, in short order, to be able to look at ensuring that persons who are charged with murder or firearm offenses are not given bail to go out there and walk about and kill people or put people at risk or threat again. Ensuring that persons who are charged with murder or firearm offenses are not given bail to go out there and walk about and kill people or put people at risk or threat again. And that is without prejudice to anything else. Because if the court ruled tomorrow that it was unconstitutional, we would have to bring a new bill, act, or new amendments. If it doesn't rule that it is unconstitutional, we don't have to do anything. So we have decided to take in front and ensure that the Parliament is in a position to ensure that the police and those who are charged with the protection of people and public safety in this country have the legislative protection and the ability to ensure that people who do not have a reason to be afraid of the law or to be afraid of the deprivation of liberty can continue with impunity and go out there and shoot and kill people. The people whose lives are at risk are in our community. The people who are causing the problems are in our community. And regrettably, a gun does not give you any error for recovery in a way that even a rock stone or a 2x3 might have done years ago. And to that extent, therefore, if you are seeing people hiding guns around you, say something, because you may be the next victim.
You heard what she said there, right? So it seems that the courts in Barbados have been invited, just like the court in Trinidad and Tobago was invited, to pronounce on the constitutionality of a law that said you can't get bail for murder after 105 years. So it happened in Trinidad with success. So apparently some Bajan lawyers say, well, hey, you see what happened in Trinidad, boy? Them lawyers and them went to the court and they said that the law that says you can't get bail for murder is unconstitutional, and the court agreed. So we have a precedent. So we go in and approach the court in Barbados, see if we could pull out Trinidad. And the Prime Minister is basically saying there, well, if the court says it's unconstitutional, well, then we will come to the Parliament and we will change the law, right? And we will take legislative amendments. So the law, we will put law, because Parliament is supposed to supersede we make the laws, and the judiciary is supposed to interpret the law if it is challenged. So she's saying, if it is the court say, we can't, that murderers are to get, we will come back and we will bring the amendment. So if we have to bring a new law that states this is what it is. No bail for murder. Gun crimes, no bail for you neither. We put in our foot down. You see, she could do that because in her country, her government has the majority that they need. They don't need the support of the opposition. And in fact, I think the opposition is just, one person also? Because she would have won the plurality of seats in the last election. They won all. And then, as had happened the first time when she became Prime Minister, shortly thereafter, somebody see an opportunity. You were part of the government, and then you just decided you want to leave and become leader of the opposition. Because as leader of the opposition, you're collecting salary for that. But you also have some power in that you could appoint senators and all of these things. So twice that happened. Coincidence? I don't think so. But nevertheless, Mia Mottley has the majority that she needs. So if she needs to amend the law or bring a new law, as she said, to prevent persons who commit murder from getting bail and persons who are accused of gun crimes from getting bail, she will do that. And she has the numbers to be able to make it law. In Trinidad, Dr. Rowley does not have that privilege. Anything that impinges on a person's constitutional rights requires the support of the opposition. So if Dr. Rowley tried to do what Mia Mottley just said that she's going to do there, the opposition will not support it. The PNM does not have the majority that is required, so that law will go nowhere. So it didn't make sense trying. It will go nowhere. Right? But it can happen in Barbados. So I just thought I'd play that. So in Barbados, their Prime Minister saying, you see what happened in Trinidad there? You commit a murder and you could get bail. That's not flying here. In Trinidad, you get caught with guns, you get charged, you get bail and you go outside, and then you're caught again with guns, and then you come back and you get bail again. You see that happening in Trinidad? Not happening here. Not under my watch. That's what she's saying. That's what she's saying. But you have people in Trinidad and Tobago arguing against that. The same people who love Mia Mottley and she's the best Prime Minister and they wish she was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. But here, you say, well, what if the person innocent? What if they're guilty? We can't go about denying people bail, because when you do that, you create single parent homes and these poor young children will be without a father. If the father killing people to make money to mind them, that is any kind of father to have. That's any kind of example. But the Janty child father ain't killing nobody. So she cut off that talk. We're going again. Let me get it here. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we touch on St. Kitts and Nevis. We touch on Barbados. We're going across to St. Vincent and the Grenadines now. It's time to combat crime in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The rapid increase in homicides in St. Vincent and the Grenadines appears to be continuing in 2024. 55 homicides were recorded last year, and so far this year, 7 homicides. Now, this is an article back in February, right? This is a damning indictment of the Unity Labour Party. We have seen the homicide rate increasing year after year. 2 consecutive years, 22 and 23, were record-breaking years for homicides. The homicide rate in St. Vincent and the Grenadines has consistently been above 30 per 100,000 of the population in the last 7 years, one of the highest in the world. This is a terrible and frightening statistic. Not only is homicide a major concern, so too predate larceny, robbery, burglary, home invasion, sexual assault. In a press conference earlier this year, the Commissioner of Police revealed that crime had increased by 1.5% in 2023 compared to 2022. In 2022, there were 4,070 criminal offenses which were reported, and in 2023, 4,133 criminal offenses were reported. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has a population of about 120-something thousand people. Further, there is presently a frightening situation for the residents of Lowlands, Windward, Hadley's Village, North Union, South Union, and Newgrounds. They are being terrorized by a series of burglaries. They are fearful for their lives. This is This is unprecedented in these communities. And there has not been any report from the police of any arrest. The situation must be brought under control, but the ULP does not have the answer. The Prime Minister and the National Security continues to blame everyone around them, pointing the finger of blame in every direction. It is obvious that the blame for increased crime in St. Vincent and the Grenadines should go in one direction, and that is to the Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. Right? So I don't need to read anymore. We're going again. St. Lucia. High-level concerns locally and internationally about St. Lucia's sustained and historic homicide rates and lawlessness, coupled with recent travel advisories. Level 3 on Jamaica, citing concerns over crime and unreliable medical services. Level 2 on Barbados to exercise increased caution. The U.S. State Department travel advisory for Jamaica and the Bahamas are thought-provoking. The advisories mirror events in St. Lucia. That is crime, a comatose healthcare system, airport services, sanitation, water safety, road safety, potholes, and political squabbles. The former and current tourism ministers' recent exchanges were not helpful in their political and national security quiddity, even demanding an apology among other effects. Occurring in both tourist and non-tourist areas, homicides and violent crimes, burglaries, armed robberies, car theft, cutlass attacks, violence against women are widespread. The escalated crime and violence terrorizing neighborhoods throughout St. Lucia summons the need for clarity and action as the island tourism product and economy are clouded in uncertainty, according to industry leaders. Amidst all the politics and crime, nothing gets fixed while industry professionals listen to Prime Minister and Minister of Finance pay a speech at the launch of the Bank of St. Lucia Global Investment Fund. Data and evidence suggest that tourism and crime are not an equation for economic development and prosperity. Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis. I could give all Grenada too, but I think you all get the gist, right? We get this here. Political leader of the New National Party, Dr. Keith Mitchell, is demanding that government deal swiftly with the issue of rising gun crimes in Grenada. His calls come following reports of a fatal shooting in Grand Anse. Dr. Mitchell believes gun violence and homicides are escalating rapidly on the island. He says the streets, which used to be filled with joy and peace of Grenadians, are now scenes of grief and fear. Dr. Mitchell, who is a former Prime Minister, says that the NNP is deeply concerned about what it views as a serious increase in gun violence that is costing young lives. He is accusing the current leadership under the Prime Minister and current Minister of National Security of failing to address the situation effectively. Dr. Mitchell says the NNP is concerned that the current situation has the potential to negatively affect tourism and even the upcoming carnival period. Barbados, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Grenada. All of them facing the same thing. I wonder if the scanners working on their ports. I wonder if their borders porous. I wonder if they have an influx of Venezuelans coming into their country. I wonder if the PNM is because the PNM is the government in all of these countries. That's probably it. Yeah, because Hines is the Minister of National Security in all these countries and Keith Rowley is the Prime Minister. So get rid of Hines, get rid of Rowley, and crime in the Caribbean fixed. And? Yeah, man. That making sense. But when it is, we talk about it. When they had the crime symposium last year, when we had heads of government from around the region coming together to discuss crime because they all face the same problem. Well, they spent $3 million. Is that talk shop? Is that waste our time? But it's only here. Yeah, Hines must go and Rowley must go and the problem will solve. So get rid of Hines, get rid of Rowley, and then that will set the template. So in all the other Caribbean countries that I just spoke about, and I could give you more, but in the interest of time, I will not. Because almost every Caribbean country is facing the same problem. Gun violence, increase in murders, robberies, home invasions. But then I want to hear that. It's only in Trinidad that happening. Because Ula is a waste of time. Hines is the worst Minister of National Security. Rowley only studying to travel. And people, we want to leave Trinidad because we're fed up. We want to migrate now. Which one of those other countries you're going to? Since you want to migrate and you figure if you leave Trinidad, problem solved. Where you going, Barbados? Grenada? St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia? St. Kitts and Nevis, the Bahamas, Jamaica? Which one? Take your pick. Take your pick. And I hear them talking this nonsense about migrating as if they could just pick up themselves and go to the US. That's how this works? Because last I heard, to be able to do that, you need to have a green card. Or you need to be a citizen. Unless you want to be an undocumented immigrant. And we know what Donald Trump's saying about that. 20 million of them in the first instance will be deported should he become president. Or maybe they could run to Canada. You know, Canada seems to be a little easier for them. But we know what happened back in the 1980s. But this time they can't say that they're being, well, they'll say the victims of crime, but can't say that they're being raped by black men and all kind of nonsense as an excuse. But I would remind them, it's easier for you to go to Canada now thanks to who? Keith Rowley. Because as he said some months ago, every time he met with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, whether it's on a social level or official, he would always make the point. Hey, what now? The situation that resulted in you all imposing visa requirements on Trinidad and Tobago years ago, that no longer exists. It never existed in the first place, you know, but yeah. So, here what? Ease me up now. Remove the visa restriction, the visa requirement. And he said that, the Prime Minister said that every time he meet Justin Trudeau, he will raise that issue. And I guess Mr. Trudeau get fed up and he said, all right, Keith. All right, I give in. So now, if it is that you have a valid US visa, or you had a Canadian visa in the last 10 years, you're not required to have a visa to go to Canada, right? So you have a valid US visa, you're good to go. You just have to fill out just apply for some, I can't remember the name of it, online. I think it's $7 or $7 Canadian dollars or something for that, and you're on your way. Thanks to who? Keith Rowley, not Kamala Harris. She didn't do that. I don't think she made any overtures to the Canadian Prime Minister when she was Prime Minister for such things. She didn't achieve that. But all of them who are happy now to jump on plane and run to Canada because they don't need to get a Canadian visa wouldn't say, thank you, Keith Rowley. You don't have to call him doctor if you want, because we know it doesn't hurt them to call him doctor. Okay, fine. Just say, thank you, Keith Rowley. They wouldn't even do that. Spit. Every time they hear Dr. Rowley name. Yeah, but you stand up in the line in the airport, waiting to check in to go to Canada. No Canadian visa in your passport, but you're studying, well, I didn't need that because thanks to Keith Rowley. All you ungrateful bastards. But we will remind you, all the fully done who listening here, and who will listen after, we will remind you of all the things that Keith Rowley has done for you. Right? The money that you're saving in taxes, income tax, because Keith Rowley increased your personal allowance 3 times. That money that you're using to hop on the plane and go to Canada or go to Miami, is Keith Rowley give you that. Right? You're saving that money because of Keith Rowley and his administration. Not because of Kamala Harris. She came in for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, and she didn't touch it. But this government, only tax. But the most amount of tax relief that you've gotten in years and decades has happened under this administration. And that is what's upset me when they come up with their dotage talk about you see the state of the country and you know who to vote for. You're all enjoying the fruits of all of these decisions of the Keith Rowley administration. But because they're so myopic and can't see past their nose, all they're studying is what's happening now and what's happening now. Right? But what is to come? What is the alternative offering? Half all they can say. Wouldn't take the time to go and read the manifesto and see the rubbish that they have inside it. I would equate the UNC's National Economic Transformation Plan to the Republican Party's Project 2025. Take some time and go and read it and see what is inside it. That when they accuse this administration of only selling out the country's assets, but read their National Economic Transformation Plan and all it have inside it, we will look at those state agencies and state enterprises that are a drain on the treasury. Their terms, their words. And they will see which ones to close down and which ones to put in private hands. And they will invite the private sector. Everything is we will invite the private sector and we will invite the private sector. But the fully done supporters don't know that. They don't know that. But I bet you if they win government next year and they come and they implement that, The same fully done who have an issue, always talking about, oh, this government sell the pitch lake and we sell the pitch lake. I don't know where they get that from. The pitch lake is, anyway, that's a discussion for another time. They have a problem with the sale of the refinery. But the manifesto of your own party advocates that. The very same thing. They're talking about shutting down state enterprises that are a drain on the treasury. But when Dr. Rowley and the PNM do it, all they have a problem with it. You only shut down the refinery. He said he wasn't shutting down the refinery. And the PNM closed down Karen in 1975. And the PNM closed down Petrochin. Who created Karen in 1975? Who created Petrochin? They don't talk that side of the conversation. But they know all that this government doing and selling out this and selling out that. But it's in the manifesto of your own party. But if they win next year and it happens, you know what they'll say? Well, yeah, but didn't Rowley do the same thing? No, if it was wrong under Rowley, based on your assessment, it should be wrong under Kamala too. But cult of personality. Well, they worship that woman like she's some kind of a god. Yeah? But then when it is we support our party, well, they Jews, well, they stupid, all kind of things they want to say about PNM people. Right? Well, they don't do them thing. But what I'm coming back to do a full analysis. I had started it some time ago of the UNC's manifesto. I'm coming back to do it, to remind people, but I will do it closer to the election. Because closer to the election, what are they going to do? They will pick and choose the topics, the issues, the strategies, the policies that they think people want to hear. But the other policies, those that I mentioned to you here, where they intend to privatize several state enterprises, they wouldn't talk that. They'll make no mention of it, and they know that the fully done's not going to read any manifesto. They take and run whatever it is said on the platform. So what they're not saying, I will say it here. I will highlight those policies that are in the manifesto that they're not going to talk about. So I wouldn't do it yet. So in case, because I know they listen and they watch here too. So in case they decide, well, now we need to take out this and we need to take out that. We don't need to put it in the manifesto, but behind the scenes, that is what we intend to do. Right? So I will wait until they publish the next manifesto, which is basically the same one, because Kamala Prasad Bisesa has on numerous occasions in the recent past at the Monday Night Forum told their supporters, if you want to know what our plans are, you could access our National Economic Transformation Plan on the internet. She said that. It's right there for all and sundry to read. But we know how they operate. They figure everybody's stupid. So I'm just waiting for them to announce it again, officially, when we head into campaign 2025. And then we will scrutinize it. The same National Economic Transformation Plan that several noted economists in this country in 2020 described as pie in the sky. A certain nonsense. Somebody just sit down and come up with all of these things. Hey, we need to create a manifesto. Put this in there, put that in there, and fool people talking about they will develop insurance and insurance policy for farmers. Really? Which insurance company is going to provide insurance for areas that constantly flood? They're not going to do that. You could pay what premium you want, they're not going to do that. Because they know that flood is going to happen. And they know there will be losses in the tunes of millions of dollars that they will have to pay out. So all that stupid talk when they will approach the insurance companies with that, miss me with ABS. You can fool the fully dones, not me, and not us here. Let me see. Roxanne tell him touch on Guyana crime too. Oh boy. Roxanne, where instigated? Oh boy. Criminality in Ghana. The heroin trade in Ghana is steadily increasing, with the drug being primarily trafficked through the country to the US and the Europe market. Let me see. Just now, 7701763 in the meantime. Let me push on this thing here. So give me 1 second here, folks. Let me say also good morning to Mr. Hold on, Jen. Let me just put this thing on here. Mr. Peter Clavery. My former Form 4 dean, I met him in a funeral yesterday for another former staff member who passed away, Miss Lindy Ann Borden Rich, who was my music teacher extraordinaire. Yesterday was her homegoing service, and I was able to see a couple of my former teachers. It was good seeing Mr. Clavry again. Good morning to you, sir. He informed me that he is an ardent listener to the program. Has tried to call in a few times, but when the lines open, what happens? Problems. Jenny, morning.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Morning to all those who are looked on to facts or stubborn things. This analyst is political analyst or political scientist.
Yes. Scientist.
Vishnu Raghunan. I think he has to revisit his article in the papers, because I will tell him, although VP Kamala Harris was not introduced the traditional way in how we go about getting a presidential candidate, I would tell him that 40,000 Black women would have been on a Zoom call. They even had to ask the platform provider to expand it so they could have all of them on that Zoom call. And they were able to raise in 1 hour time $1 million. They have gone on to raise, I think, $80 million.
126.
Not to be outright, not to be outdone, about 50,000 Black men. They broke the internet when they too would have had their meeting and would have raised millions of dollars. I'm now hearing that the Caucasian women of America are going to do the same thing because they're going to rally around VP Kamala Harris. And they're encouraging the Asian women and the brown women to also do the same. There's a new energy and excitement in the American political system right now. And there's a video going around saying the women are here. And I really believe it is the time for that type of leadership now. No offense to the men, but we have tried a lot of the men and they have failed miserably. And they try now in America. The only thing, just like in Trinidad, with Dr. Key Christopher Rowley and the UNC, they don't have nothing to throw at him, so they'll start to make up and fabricate things. They in America, the men and the Republican Party, they don't know how to treat with this new shift in dimension because they had to Biden as a man. They could say what they want and how they want. But now we have a younger candidate who is a woman. I think they don't know how to readjust their strategy because they only had one strategy. And they can't change that strategy. Racism and the nastiness, that's what they know. And that's just like the UNC in Trinidad and Tobago. They don't have no strategy. All they have is racism, lies, propaganda, misinformation, disinformation.
Correct.
The Republicans find themselves in that same situation. Imagine they have gone so low to say that because Kamala Harris does not have any children, it may be due to the fact she has a set of abortions. That is why she is in favor of abortion. And that it may have damaged the womb, why she can't make children. So she, as a woman without children, cannot talk to people who have children because she don't understand. That's how low they reach. Because Kamala Harris dared to say a woman has the right to say what she wants to do with her body. I think one of the biggest mistakes, this is my opinion, I'm not a political analyst or scientist, but I have some common sense and I could look at things and come up with a logical response. I think Trump and they with this abortion, anti-abortion drive they own that women can't have abortion. I think it has hit the Caucasian women very hard in the sense that their states that they live in, even if they have a baby or having a baby that is suggested having challenges, health challenges and all that, they're not allowed to have abortion in those areas. Even if they rape, and coming out of that rape, they get pregnant, they're not allowed in the states to have abortions. Women who have problems that could put them in life, endanger their life while having a baby. I think they are all not allowed to have those type of medical abortions. Not that I am supporting it or not, I'm just saying there are conditions in my mind that exist that it may, because of medical reasons, that it can be allowed. They're not allowed at all. And even when they travel out of state to go, they can't travel out of state to go to have those medical abortions if they need to. And I think that will be one of the things that may be a nail in the overall coffin for Trump and them, the way how they treat women and they see women. So I am saying to Vishnu, Raghunathan, and whatever, you're speaking from the perspective of a man, an Indian man, in my opinion, that you all don't look at women as leaders, and that might be blinding your eye to the reality. She has gotten enough of the people from, I think, Congress or whatever it is, that could give her that support to continue on this journey. And America is waking up. The women are waking up. The men are waking up and realizing the tides has changed. This is time for something new. So the Trinidad perspective, I think Kamala and they would be very uneasy about the thought of VP Kamala Harris as the president in the Oval Office. And I'll just go on with the historical thing because before I come off it, this is my opinion again. I've been doing some reading on Kamala Harris' grandfather from India. He's a Brahmin. And you know the significance of that. We may not want to believe it, but historically and culturally, those things do have some significance. It is not fair, it's not the right thing. Unfortunately, sometimes traditional culture does kind of carry and linger this. If I were to be correct, Kamala Prasad, the Chester family, and the Indian laborers who came to Trinidad came from the Dalit caste. Unfortunately, that is true. And you know, the Dalit caste were not a part of the four Varnas. So they were considered the untouchables. They were highly unskilled and highly literate. So I don't know if that might be one of the reasons that Vishnu Raghunathan may have an issue with Kamala Harris. And I just put in that there. And as for crime is a universal thing. It's not an African thing. It's not a Trinidad thing. All over the Caribbean, they are grappling with it because of the gun violence and gun crime. And countries that normally did not have that type of violence, they are seeing it now in the Caribbean, and it is due to gun violence. And they're all coming up with whatever strategies that they need to treat it. And you'll very well say, Saturday gone, Prime Minister Muttley asked Barbadians to stand up for 5 minutes and basically pray, stay in silence to help with crime. But this government and the Commissioner of Police said, pray, let us pray. And they didn't have nothing good to say about it. But I hear nobody say nothing about a Prime Minister saying, let us stand for 5 minutes. Even in Kitty's Carnival, stand for 5 minutes and let us pray for peace. Let us pray to help with crime. But in Trinidad and Tobago, they had the words to say, but you know what, they're not leaving. You know why? Because Trinidad and Tobago is some of them heaven. Because they can't go nowhere else with that behavior and carry on like that. They'll either be deported, or they may make a jail, or they just really have to put the finger on the lip, hands up, hands down, and fingers on the lip, and take what they get. But in Trinidad, the liberty in a country that they say is a dictator and a tyrant, in a country with a dictator and a tyrant, they could say what they want, when they want, and how they want. And again, congratulations to my minister, my member of parliament, Minister Siotong SC, for his human service and the work he's doing in the energy sector. He too has made the energy sector very excited. His human service, and again, that could only happen under transformational leader, one like Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. So thank you, Dr. Rowley, thank you, Minister Siotong, and all the members of Parliament and the People's National Movement. And we, the women of Trinidad and Tobago, we understand the assignment. We, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, we understand the assignment. And come 2025, we know the assignment. We're going red. The code is red. Because that's the only thing to save Trinidad and Tobago from a UNC that everybody say corrupt, from a UNC that everybody, Makanda Daga say, they thief all the money of the treasury, as if they had a right to thief it. From a UNC that Roger, the parasite, say, corrupted. From a UNC that Jack Warner say, the legacy to Trinidad and Tobago be one of corruption, because all of them corruption. He said, even though other political parties had little corruption here and there, he said the UNC, the whole of the UNC corrupted. From a UNC, saving us from a UNC, that Dr. Lebamarad say that they involve in human trafficking. That is what we know, and that is the assignment, to make sure that they never see the corridors of power in Trinidad and Tobago again. So we know the assignment, and we will do the work good. Have a blessed morning, and thank you as usual.
Thank you, Jen. Hold 1 sec, Brian. Right. So Roxanne asked me to speak on Guyana's crime. And this is an article published today. Government uneasy with the levels of crime and violence in Guyana. The Attorney General Anil Nandlal on Tuesday during his weekly episode of Issues in the News said that the ranks of the Guyana police force are constantly being trained, but the government of Guyana is uncomfortable with the levels of crime and violence being seen in the country. We are constantly training our police officers to make them better qualified and better suited to deal with crime and criminality in the country. More forensic approaches to investigations are being pursued. He further stated that the government is not comfortable with the level of crime and violence in the society, and that is no secret. We have repeatedly accepted that fact, and we are assiduously working to address the situation. Nandlal highlighted that there is a number of pieces of legislation that the government will be passing, but legislation is not enough. It is not the singular remedy that can be comprehensively and successfully deemed to address the problem. We have to be multifaceted. Traffic offenses, here it is. Traffic offenses, he said, will be attracting a higher penalty since in Guyana there continues to be an unacceptable rate of road fatalities, and the government has been passing a menu of statutory provisions intended to address the matter. We have introduced the offense of motor manslaughter. We have introduced a regime of disqualifications of driver's licenses. We have introduced a regime that addresses drunken driving in a comprehensive way, the AG said. He further stated that the government has introduced a regime of statutory provisions to address the question of selling intoxicating liquor to drivers and persons suspected to be drivers. And only at the last sitting of Parliament, we have introduced a camera system where we have legislation so cameras are going to be located along the way at strategic points of our major highways, roadways, and will video record transactions related to speeding and the failure to wear seatbelts. They are now doing that. There will also be amendments to address penalties under the Road Traffic Act and public awareness on how to use the roadways. Similarly, in relation to offenses involving violence, robbery, home invasions, breaking and entering, burglary and robbery under arms, Nandlal said the penalty provisions are being reviewed, and he said the forensic lab has been equipped with a skill set of highly qualified personnel who have been recruited from overseas. We have now modern equipment and we are acquiring more to equip the lab. So we complaining here, Rowley and Rohan Sinanan, and the demerit system, and they only going after motorists and only going after drivers because apparently giving people ticket for having no valid insurance and invalid license and all of these things that are going on solve crime, and they want to cause roadblock. How are they talking now? But look in Guyana, the great Guyana, where they have all the oil. Here what they're trying to do. They too have a crime problem. Brian.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Good morning to your listeners and callers. I had to come in early because, you touched on certain issues that, are endearing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I want people to understand that you don't govern for today alone. You govern for tomorrow.
Yep.
You govern for our future. Joe Biden said it last night. You govern for the future. Kamala Harris said it. Do you want to go back or do you want to govern for the future? People must listen. Don't just hear, you must listen. And what is important is what this government has done so far. Up to last night when I heard about the Manikin Coquina field being given a 20-year contract between BP and NGC. What all of this will do for Trinidad and Tobago going into the future. Because I'll tell you, your vote in 2025 is important. Donald Trump does not even know what to say. He can't think clearly. So what does he revert to? Race. PEI. Does this sound familiar, listeners? Does this sound familiar to you all? When you have nothing else to talk about, what do you revert to? And that is what is important to understand in our context. That the gas fields that we will now be able to extract gas from to assist our downstream industries. That is why they're still here. That is why Proman's still here. And not only that, when 0.14 trains come up fully, we will make money in the initial stage. We will make money. People have to understand what this means to Trinidad and Tobago. As you rightly said, Dr. Rowley, they may go be around in 30 years' time. But you know who will be around? Our children, our grandchildren. And when they will be enjoying the fruits of the labor of this present government, some of them may not even understand. Some will understand, yes, who want to understand, but there will be some who will not understand. And people believe that it can only affect people on the East-West corridor. It can affect all of us. All of we down in South here. But people to believe that, hey, don't worry, we in South, we good, we have nothing to worry about. Really? It would affect all of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is why, when I listen to people like Vishnu Rabbi, who calls himself a political scientist, total waste of time, because they are biased. And I'm saying it loud and clear. Indira Sajuan, when she gets rid of the alley, they are biased. And they know the truth. They don't know, they know. All of them know. But you see, there's a clear bias. The refinery they keep talking about, I will keep telling earlier, they don't care about it. You know why? Because they want to get the pause on it so that they could make money off of it. It's not about Dr. Rowley doing good about bringing people to look at it. It's that they want to get the pause on it. David Lee doesn't have a clue about oil and gas, not a clue. But because he's the member of parliament for Point of View, he wants to make you believe that he knows nothing. Absolutely nothing. He doesn't even understand how much money it will take if you ask him to revamp that refinery. He doesn't even understand it has to be modernized because you can't flare gas anymore. People have to understand these things. We have signed up to the Paris Agreement. We are now in COP. People have to understand you can't just flare the gas, the excess gas. It has to go somewhere. It has to be modernized. It's going to take billions of dollars. You need people with deep pockets. Patriotic Energies has no money. OWTU have no money to deal with this. People have to understand these things. So when you speak about what is happening with the Coquina field, 1 trillion scoops of gas, you have to understand with the dragon, because you know why they don't, you see the problem is, they thought that, oh God, well, Trump will win and that is the end of Maduro and that is it. And that is the end of the government. That is the end of the PNM, all what they do, it will be reversed. But with the coming on of Kamala Harris, not Kamala Prasad, be Cesar, Kamala Harris, that things will look up because Kamala Harris has dealt personally with Dr. Rowley. She has spoken with him personally as it pertains to these issues. So she knows, she's aware. And I will tell you this, it was in 34 hours that she received enough votes for to be nominated. She received all the votes that she needed to be nominated, to go ahead and to become the candidate to be president of the United States of America. It was 34 hours, not 40, 34 hours. She raised $126 million in 24 hours. And that adds to the $100 million that Biden will transfer across to her. The Biden-Harris team, it will now come to her. So that is over 220, and that was a few days ago. We don't know how much now that they really have, because we haven't heard. So she has the money and she is moving forward. The only person who is going to now endorse her, as they said this morning on Morning Joe, is Barack Obama. Everybody else has endorsed her. Everybody else. The only person, and that will be done today, I believe, will be Barack Obama. Because Barack Obama says he wants to wait to ensure that she receives the votes necessary to be nominated. Imagine Joe Manchin, who's an independent, wanting to come across to be endorsed, but he doesn't realize that he can't make. And he has already said, listen, see me, I ain't getting involved in that. I stay out because I can't beat her. She has the support of women around America, white women, African women, Asian women, especially Asian, and the Latino women. She can only go up. She can't go down. And she's saying the right things. That is what is hurting Donald Trump, because he don't know what to say. Because the imps that he hired as his assistant to be vice president don't even know how to speak to the people. Listen to him, and you will see for yourself. So he doesn't know what to do. So what does he go to? The race card. Isn't that familiar, Trinidad and Tobago? Is that familiar in our country? What do they turn to when they have nothing else to turn to? And they can't debunk the things that are being done for Trinidad and Tobago for our future. What do they turn to? Race card.
Yep.
Because they have nothing else to turn to. Understand? But we have to understand what our role is. Joe Biden said it yesterday. Are you concerned about your future and your children's future? Because then you know what you have to do. You know what you have to do. It's easy. Because you have the power. According to listen to what he said. You, we, me, I, you have the power. Not the politicians. They have the power. You and I have the power to ensure that this government stays in office into the future to ensure of our future. And that is what is important. Don't let people come in there because they care about themselves and their friends. We have seen it before. Section 34 tells us all. We have to ensure that we secure our future. And how do we do it? We vote for a people who cares about us, not about only themselves. And this is what is important. Dominique spoke about a lot of things today, but I will relent at this time because there are people to get it. But there's a lot more to say about what you spoke about this morning.
Indeed.
But I want to thank you very, very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
You too. Yes, I should never forget. Prasad Bisesa and Brian referenced it there, the race card, when she said,
morning, Dom.
Hi, morning.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. UNC is bankrupt of anything important. They have no value. It's not issues, it's about race. Why are you there? You always have to go to the gutter to bring a point up. If you had anything in your brain besides racist space to discuss issues, the same thing happened to Kamala Harris. She don't have children answer what the Bible says. Blessed is the womb that gave no bear and the breast that gave no suck. For not having children means she's exempt from being a president. Is that law? In American law books? Something wrong with Trump camp. And Trump and Kamala, is the same thing. Empty-headed, bubble-head, knock-off Barbie doll. You know, Star Trek? Space the far frontier. We have Trump, we have Kamala and Robert. All empty-headed. Would you be on next week, Thursday? The holiday?
Yes, but I'll probably come on at 11 instead of 62.
Can I do something? As we hear what now? I'll do a little poem. You don't mind. I am the Nile. I am the glorious, beautiful, life-giving Nile. And I came from Africa in the bowels of a ship. I came from Africa in the loins of the womb of my parents. And they were whipped, and they were raped, and they were shackled to bring me freedom. I am the Nile. I'm beautiful. I'm the mother of many nations. And I came to that TNT, the land of my birth. This is my land, this is my birth. And I'm proud of Hank Williams and Patrick Manning and Ralph Palmerston Rowley. I'm proud to be in that TNT. That's my thing this morning. So all who feel you're nobody, come again. You're out of place. We are the gold in this land. We are the oil. We are the diamonds. Get in line. And if you cross me again, you will see people may tell you, I like to know. But if you push me to a point of madness, I'll go with you, you know. I vote in red. I am voting red. And if you come by my front door, walk with a pundit, a pasty man, and 6 coffins. Do not say mad or man and come by me. This is a perfect human race, But we are racist at point, But UNC is the most hateful, racist party in this land. One call me the N-word. You know the N-word is? Not my skin, but their heart. Their heart, they'll be N-word. Because they be white like Donald Trump and be the N-word. So get it straight. It's an attitude. I'm trying harder not to get in trouble. I'm trying so hard, but the funny is just calling me. And I'll walk through with my Negro self. I will dance on you with 20 child shoes. So I'm going to have a good day by later.
Thank you. Right. And I was making the point prior that Prasad Bisesa some couple years, not a couple, a few years ago, when they had a meeting, I never forget, at Rio Claro Secondary School, she made the claim or the statement that the reason why the PNM, the current administration, was neglecting the South was because they perceived South to be Indian, of Indo descent, right? And the same thing Brian talking about. When they have nothing else to talk about, they pull the race card, but always want to blame PNM supporters and talk about PNM people vote on race and race. That's how they think. That's the only thing that they could do or use to rally their base. Make the claim that Rowley and the PNM are racist. They don't like people of East Indian descent. But then you have Anil Roberts, that clown will come and tell you, Rowley and the PNM is supposed to be a black man party. But look at how many East Indians it have in the cabinet. See? Nonsense. So just imagine the talking point in the Republican Party is that, and I was looking at it last night, Fox. One of the reasons to reject Kamala Harris is because she's against plastic straws. What rubbish! She's against plastic straws, and you know that could, if she implements policies to get rid of plastic straws, that could affect or hurt the economy. Is there anything more ridiculous than that? I see Deanne Joseph says here, I wonder what economist Mala Dukaran is saying now about the crime surge in Barbados after she said that she had to run there from Trinidad because she felt safe there. Indeed. Good morning to Ms. Dukaran. What are your thoughts? You're going to run back to Trinidad? Eric, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, good morning to you, Mr. Ruben. Good morning to the listeners, callers, and another segment of Facts Are Stubborn Things. Right. First of all, let me congratulate the Honorable Minister of Energy and Industries, Mr. Minister Stuart Young, SC, for a remarkable job on the 20-year license that was granted for BP and NGC. Right. Dominic, you would have touched some points relative to the opposition leader, aka the Separia Bats. Right. Consider that once they get in power, as that's going to happen, they're going to make sure that farmers in these areas get our insurance. Dominic, every year, if I live in a particular area, and I know every year that that area is prone to flooding, are you going to give me insurance every year? Mm-hmm. Because I think the rainy season does run every year. Not it don't run every 5 years or every 2 years. It's every year. Mm-hmm. So I want to know if you're going to give me as a farmer, where I live in a flood-prone area, insurance every year once it a flood. So you see, they are trying all tricks and trades in the book to give people the perception that we will vote for us and we're going to give you what you want. Not knowing that on the other hand, vote for us and we're going to make we name in the treasury. They ain't saying that part. You understand? They ain't saying that part. They want to give you that belief. You understand? But as I always said, Dominic, nothing surprises me anymore in the Dunce camp. Nothing whatsoever. I was on the page this morning, right? They had this so-called quote-unquote pre-budget tour, right? There was Narima yesterday. And they had this young boy talking a set of foolishness. I think I sent you the link, but I know they're looking from the page, so you can't see it. Right? But you know me, you know I have other pages. I can go and mark on the page. Anyway, right? So he's talking about he's a young individual and he's into sports, and the government there for the last 10 years did nothing to enhance the youth in the area for sports. And so there is me. I listen to it, as if the government did for the last 10 years in relation to sports. Look how much opportunities Dr. Rowley have, the PNMs already have for young people. Dr. Rowley even created a ministry for youth, and Foster Cummins is running that ministry. So I'm trying to understand what you're telling me. You understand? But you see, they want to give this belief that it has nothing in the coffers for the youth of the country. You will systematic. So they want live sport again. They want Color Me Orange times 10. And they want everything that you get money easy and underhanded. That's what them want in this country. So when I listen to this individual, but it's only comment, I couldn't comment because they block that page too, so I comment. Let's observe. You understand? But in a nutshell, I think that the UNC is not good for this country at this present time, or no time ever. Now, 1 5 years ago, it shall not be repeated going forward in this country. You understand? And look at the social debate the US and presidential nominee, Ms. Kamala Harris. Now, people, this president nominee is Kamala Harris. The opposition leader is Kamala. Remember that, not Kamala. Because you know people want to be, but they give the perception that both names is the same thing. Right. So I realized that sour-faced Trump and his campaign team trying to mudsling Ms. Harris, right? And want to demoralize and demonize her character. Well, I got to understand that Madam Harris would have gone up social media and properly fix Donald Trump. But you hear none of them come out and talk about us. So I am awaiting the presidential debate in the months coming down here between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And I await that with bated breath. Yeah, because they feel that she's a woman, she not the breast taken off fortitude to challenge anybody. You know what I mean? But there's a surprise waiting in store for Donald Trump. And Kamala Harris have the support of not only women in America, but women around the world. You understand? She have that support with women around the world and men who want to see a woman as president in America. Because you know, all the years was only male president, right? Because they can't no female no time in the years gone by. So this time around could be history making. You understand? Or like we in Trinidad here, you know, we had four prime ministers, well, 3 prime ministers, and then we get a change, but we get exchange from 2010 to 2015 because that one wasn't ready for the prime minister or prime minister's stature. That is in my book. I don't know who will support me on that, but she didn't have the quality to be a prime minister. She wasn't ready. I heard the money. She wasn't ready. Right? But as I say, we await the 3 months as it unfolds in the US presidential election. And mind you, Dominic, that election in America could determine the outcome in Trinidad and Tobago election come 2025. Right? Because you know right now, the opposition vets how Kamala Harris is the presidential nominee and she's been favored by the Americans and mostly African Americans and some of the white women and whites. So you know they have a problem because they want Trump to be the president. So they go send sanctions to Venezuela so they won't crush and squash the gas deal with us and Venezuela. These people in UNC, Dominic, they don't have country at heart, but the leader said party before country. You understand? She said it. If it's party before country, otherwise go to hell. Go to hell. But she said it. So they are happy that Donald Trump to win presidential election in America, so he could send sanctions to Venezuela and Guyana. Dominic, these people are easy, you know, but they must surprise waiting. So Kamala Harris, we support her. Right thinking people in Trinidad and Tobago support her. All those who support her, they're like the foolishness that going on in Trinidad with Donald Trump. As soon as Donald Trump sneezes, Kamala she wash around to wipe his nose. That's how they are. They want to interconnect, but that won't happen. So hashtag Kamala 2024, you will be successful. And Dr. Rowley and the PNM in Trinidad and Tobago is going to be the next government from 2025 and beyond. Who don't like it, bite it, sleep by it, eat by it, that is you. Dr. Rowley, not Dr. Rowley, but the PNM will be the next government 2025 and beyond. Dominic, good program as usual. Locked on and listening. Jenny morning.
Thank you, sir. Brian.
Dominic, so many things you spoke about, as I said earlier. I need to come back in. People have to understand how the UNC is thinking, and it's important to understand. Now, when you look at the news, you will see it for yourself, and you must recall. Earlier this week, a lady in Pina complained that because our water course was changed, that water is settling under her house, which will create the mosquito issue. And she complained about it, that it was on the news earlier this week. But some wouldn't remember. But I am here to remind people about what the lady said. That because an individual who owns a particular parcel of land would have changed the water course, and now the water comes under her house, and she wants something to be done because of the mosquitoes. Now, if you listen to the news, Dominic, and they are indicating that this one has died from dengue and so on and so on, but they're not saying the area.
Yes.
If you look at where people are murdered, the same murder in Tabaki, murder in Mova, murder in wherever. There's called the area. But as far as dengue is concerned, listen carefully on the news, and you will hear. They don't say where the person who has died is really from. Only once they said it, and that was the girl who died from Siparia. But other areas, like up to yesterday, for the fifth one, they didn't call the area. Why? I wonder why. And I want to tell all you something. Well, they must listen to certain people. Because up to this morning, the mayor of Siparia was lamenting that the bridge that fell down, where people had to take boats to come across to get to go out into society, that the government is doing nothing for them, and that he write letters to the minister of local government and the minister of works, and they have explained that is private property. And therefore, they would need a letter authorizing them to go in there to remove and to rebuild or to put a Bailey Bridge. But they ain't talking about that. What he said this morning on the TV6 is that the government don't care about the people. That so long that bridge there, and that they could come in there and they could fix the bridge, but they don't want to come in there because they don't care about it, because you know why? Because it's a pariah constituency. But the lady in Pina who was complaining earlier this week on all the television about what's going on in this area, when they asked him to explain why it is he has not gone to help the lady, he says they cannot go in there because that is private land. What is the difference between there and the bridge in Siparia that's falling the river? And that is why I keep telling you, you have to listen to how they speak. For that old lady who complained about the water settling in under her house, he can't go there because it's private land. But for the bridge that fall down in Siparia, that preventing people from accessing society and accessing the population, it's because of the government. And people have to understand how these people think, because they feel we forget. I don't. I will remind you all how they think. The government can't go in there because that is private property. They have to get authorization to help those people in Siparia where the bridge has fallen into the river. But the mayor of the Kangaroo Head fella, he ain't going to talk about that. He going to talk about because it's UNC place. That's why the government ain't going in there. And that is the hypocrisy of these people. And people have to understand. Because it's going to come up next year, you know. It's going to come up next year. And we have to be aware and remember, it's important that we do so. Remember all that Dominic Romain is telling us. Because at the end of the day, it's about race and about who fixing who and who fixing what. At the end of the day. But that is how they believe that they can win. All the murders and all the crime, everything is Hines. But all over the Caribbean. And those are smaller countries. St. Kitts Nevis that Dominic spoke about is less than 50,000 people and they have concerns. 50,000 people. And they have concerns. St. Lucia, less than 200,000 people and they have concerns. Barbados, 282,000 people and they have concerns. What about Guyana? Less than 100,000 people. And look what's going on. It is all over. But you see, I spoke to a certain individual and we both agreed that one man has created this problem. But when you see you give license to gun dealers, when it says you give license to a sitting police officer to bring in 21,000 firearms and an assortment of bullets of over 23 million. And then you see people getting shot. And it's not just one bullet, but 32 bullets, 21 bullets, 30 bullets. Then you understand what time it is. So it's not about Dr. Rowley. It's about what the government can do within the law. And these people who have attorneys just waiting to get them off, that is where our problem lies. People must understand, because they're killing at will. Ask yourself, how these little imps and them getting firearms that cost so much money that you and I can't buy, and all these assortment of bullets. Look at the police officer, said that, I listened to, what you call him, an MP talking about the vest ain't no good. The vest this, and do you know that when the officer was shot, it didn't penetrate the vest. It didn't penetrate the vest. It was he was shot above the vest. But you see, they will go on and say that, the government is helping the police and the government. And when I listened to the president of the Social and Welfare Police Association, he said, listen, all of these vests need to be examined prior to them being worn. But people won't talk about these things. They don't talk about it. They say, oh God, the man gets you 3 vests. And oh God, poor fella, in hospital now. But he wasn't shot through the vest. But we don't listen. You know why? Because they have the journalists and them who will perpetuate certain things and put it in our head